Welcome to the Super Fantastic Exchange, where we have inspired conversations with incredible leaders, thinkers, and motivators. And today's guest, I have been a fan of for quite some time. I've been following him on LinkedIn. He has posted some incredible, inspiring conversations there, and I've always wanted to connect with him. And today I've got none other than Cornelious Callaway. Y'all give it up for Cornelious. Woo. Cornelious, can you hear your fan club?
I can. Sometimes you have to do it for the people.
You're just doing it for the people. You're one of those guys, and I love that. You're one of those leaders that does it for the people, and I can see that's who you are, and that's why I've been inspired to connect with you, because you are the man of the people. Cornelious, before we get started, I want to give you a chance to share a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Gary. So I've been in the multifamily space for about 22 years. I started off as a part-time lease consultant, and I worked every position up to an RVP. And I just love being a part of the multifamily space. We're like one huge family, and it's one of those spaces that everyone's kind of there to help each other out and really kind of motivate each other every day. And so it's a pleasure to be a part of the multifamily space.
And that is so true. And Cornelius, I love how you kind of added in the word family, because it truly is the multifamily environment. No matter if you work for different companies, you're still part of the industry, which makes you part of that family. And it may be a large industry, but it's a small world, and it's a small family where people are helping each other. And again, I have followed you on LinkedIn. I love the things that you post, incredibly inspiring, encouraging other people. And that's why I've been a fan of yours, and I've wanted to connect with you, because I love to connect with inspiring leaders, peek behind the curtain and ask, what inspires you? And so, Cornelius, I was able to connect with you and ask, what inspires you? You came back with 3 incredible points. And not only did you come back with 3 incredible points, you truly spent some time writing out some great detail as to these 3 items that inspire you. So I can't wait to unpack these with you. So I want to jump into the first one, and you talk about team building. And not just simply team building, but the way you write it really kind of caught my eye. Is you say team building is something that ignites a fire within you. That's bold. And so, Cornelius, share with us what that means to you. Why does team building inspire you and ignite that fire?
Because when you think about team building, you bring in 3, 4, 5 people together, and you want them to gel and have a great vibe and all that kind of good stuff. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But the most important part of that is to see those 3 or 4 people really start to click, and see that all sort of kind of flow together as one group, and to watch that be a seamless team that can do and move any sort of mountain to kind of get to that common goal. And they're the ones that are actually moving the needle, and the ones that are actually, making things happen. So as a leader, being able to put those people together and really just kind of see how they all kind of work together, where someone's strong in this and someone maybe weak in that, but there's all those gaps are filled in. It's just one of those things that is a great pleasure as a leader to be able to do.
Oh my gosh. So there's a couple of things that you said there, Cornelius, that it kind of resonates with me. Is one, you have awareness that it's the team on the ground, the boots on the ground that are face to face with the customer. Those are the ones that are doing the work, or the ones that move the needle, if you will. Because I find a lot of conversations behind the desks at the corporate office, they're like, I'm going to make this decision and that's going to move the needle. But I love, Cornelius, you talk about it's the people on the ground that make the difference and move the needle. And that's a unique perspective to have through your awareness.
Well, so as a leader, you can make all the decisions you want in the world, but if you don't have the right people to facilitate those decisions, it just doesn't happen. As a leader, we have multiple roles and multiple assets and things of that sort. So you're not the one actually on the ground leasing the apartments or making the residents happy or fixing the work orders. You are actually the one who's supposed to be cheerleading and facilitating the environment to make that happen. But the people on the ground, that team that you created, they're actually doing the work. They're the ones that are making the things happen. And they're the ones that are making you as a leader look as an amazing leader, because they're actually getting done. And about putting those people together, that is how that works. It's really about creating that team that they really want to achieve that goal, and they want to achieve that goal together, and they want to achieve that goal for you.
Yeah, that is so good. And there's a couple of the other things. There's one point that you said when you start putting a team together and they're vibing together. I love what you said where they fill the gaps. And I think that's an incredibly astute observation, Cornelius. As a leader, you have to have that kind of vision where you're like, where you recognize, okay, I have team members, and each team member is going to have some sort of gaps in their leaderships or their strengths or their weakness. But here you are with you have such an awareness that you're recognizing, hey, when I get the right people together, they'll fill in the gaps, and then they'll make the things happen.
Correct. And they're also, I hate to say this, they're also filling in the gaps that I don't have as well. They fill in the things that I can't do as well. So when you're creating that team, I always tell my, my managers and my, and my leaders that, when you're creating that team, make sure they can fill in some of your gaps as well. There's some things that, you can't do yourself that someone else may be really, really good at, and they help fill in that gap. So when you're looking at that team, as a leader, as a multifamily leader, you may not be looking at that team just for one community. You might be looking at that team for your entire portfolio, so that you can really make sure that you cover all those gaps along the way.
That's a great perspective to have, is when you're hiring a leader, hire one that could potentially fill in your gaps that you have as well. That's a very bold way to go about, and I think that's a very smart way to go about hiring a team. Cornelius, I'm loving what you're sharing with us here today. This is good stuff. I want to jump into your second point, which you talked about, is helping others grow in their careers. And there's an additional kind of ad that you shared, is investing time and effort in developing the talent. So what is it about helping others grow and then investing time and effort to develop? So what does that mean to you, and how does that inspire you as a leader?
So you've created that team, and you've created that cohesiveness with them, and now you get what you're looking at as that you have some people that stand out. There's some people that want to be a lease consultant forever, and there's okay with that. And then there's some people that want more. And finding who those people are and identifying that, and then pouring into them, pouring that extra time in them, either after hours or helping them, with understanding how to make those decisions is one, it's rewarding because someone opened a door for me at one point, for me to get where I had to go. But at the same time, you're actually helping build that next level of leaders in our space, which is a great way to share some of the things that you've learned and some of your leadership with them, and so that they can continue to share that down below as well.
Oof. And that is so good. And I think truly the sign of a valuable leader is one that wants to give back. And Cornelius, I love you recognize that someone opened a door for you. Someone's opened a door for all of us in some capacity. However, you're taking it a step further, is you're helping others through opening doors for them. And what I want to add to this, Cornelius, and what I've kind of recognized in kind of a thread of how you are as a leader in just this conversation, is you have such a great awareness, because I love how you're kind of playing chess, getting the right people on the right team in the right place, and recognize that, and you have that awareness. And then you take awareness to a deeper level where you're like, okay, hey, this team member is content being a lease consultant forever. However, I see these other leaders that want to take it to the next step. And you have that deeper level of awareness where you're like, okay, I recognize it. Now I'm going to help them through opening some additional doors for them so that they can do extra things. That's amazing.
Sometimes as leaders, you want things for a person, but they don't want the same thing. So you have to make sure that it's what they want. And if they want it, then, they're willing to put in that extra time and learn those extra things so that they can be ready. And at the same time, I always look at trying to make sure I've trained my replacement. So when there is an opportunity that for me to do something different or something bigger, that there's somebody that I can say, hey, they're ready. They can do all the things that I've done. They know how to do it, and they're ready to just step into that slot.
Ooh. That's bold, Cornelius. You're training your replacement.
You have to in this environment because sometimes you miss out on opportunities because there's nobody to fill a position that you're sitting in.
That is so smart, Cornelius. I think a lot of us get so defensive of our, like, I'm gonna lose my job. But here you are saying, hey, listen, I'm gonna train up my replacement because that'll help open up another door for me, and it makes it easier for this transition for not only me but for the company as a whole and the team as a whole.
No, you just have to always make sure that you're getting ready. You have to, as a leader, you need to be looking a little bit farther down the line and also looking outside of yourself.
Mm.
Because you're looking at the bigger picture of how things are going to move in the future.
Yeah, I like it. So that's long-term thinking. That's long-term leadership thinking, and I love that so much. So the last inspiration point that you shared, which really resonates with me so much, is you talk about the ability to learn something new every day. That's that's a choice. And so tell us what that means to you as learning something. And that's you talk about embracing a mindset of lifelong learning. So unpack that a little bit for us. What does that mean for you?
Sometimes as leaders, we feel like we have mastered it all and we know it all. And most times we don't. So if you're not open to learning something every day from from a coworker, from the leasing consultant, from the maintenance guy, any of those things, if you're not open to that, I feel like you close yourself off as a leader, but you also close yourself off to the team members that you're working with because they have a lot of value things that they learn every day. They have a lot of value to add to everything. And so if you don't take the time to just hear that value, understand what it is, and take something from that. And it could be, just the way you do the things you do every day. Someone may have a different way that may make it easier for you that day, or may cut out some time off of something. So just taking in that and really just learning from everyone that you're around, and make it a conscious effort to learn something every day will make you a better person and also a better leader.
Ooh, I love that. It's that willingness to say, hey, listen, I don't know everything. And so I having that awareness. Again, I love this thread of how you're sharing this awareness, but you just have that willingness to not only learn from, maybe another leader, but from maybe one of your team members. And I think that's such a smart move on a leaders, just to have that willingness and openness to continue to learn every day.
It also makes you just a better human to the person that you're working alongside. I mean, when I start a new role or I started a new company and I have a new team, the first thing I tell them is, you probably know more than I know right now, but I am here to help, teach you some things, and I know you're going to teach me a lot. But you have to come in with that vulnerableness to let people know that you are still learning and you don't know it all, and you're gonna have to learn with them, or you're not gonna know the answer sometimes.
I love that. So good. Cornelius, man, it has been so incredible chatting with you. You have such great insight, and I'm so glad that we finally had a chance to connect. We're at the end of our time. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to share a closing thought with us.
Well, first, Gary, I just want to thank you for letting me, come onto your platform and share a little bit about me and a little bit about who I am as a leader. But I think the most important thing that I think right now that we all need to look at as leaders is that who we are as leaders and what leadership looks like is very important, but also the culture that we are creating for our team members is so super important right now. And what I've learned through my career and what I've learned through, some of my peers' careers, that, you can pay people all the money in the world, but if the culture isn't right, they're not happy.
Oof, so good. I 100% agree with you. Culture, really spend time focused on designing, curating, and developing that culture.
It's what people are looking for these days. It's
Yeah,
number one things people are looking for these days, and it's one of the things that really fills them. And people will stay if the culture's right.
oof, smart move, Cornelius. You are an inspiring leader, and I'm so thankful that to have you as a guest on the Super Fantastic Exchange. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Remember, create your super fantastic, inspire others, and we will see you on the next episode.